Before you scroll away, stop for a moment. This message is not random. It is for the person who has been strong for too long, quiet for too long, and tired in ways others rarely notice. Someone who keeps going even when the mind feels heavy and the heart feels overworked. There is a kind of love that does not see you as a game, a challenge, or something temporary. It feels you on a deeper level. It wants to stay close, not to control you, but to understand you. And if you have ever wondered whether a love like this is even real, stay with these words, because something here may speak to a part of you that has been waiting silently for a long time. Not everyone will keep watching this far. Most people leave when things get too real. But if you are still here, that already says something about you. It means there is still a part of your heart that listens, that feels, that hopes. And by the end of this, you may start seeing your own story in a slightly different light. Just breathe, stay with it, and listen carefully, because this goes deeper than it first sounds. The kind of connection being spoken about here is not loud or dramatic. It does not chase attention or demand constant validation. It enters quietly, almost softly, but its effect is strong and steady. It changes the atmosphere of your life without force. If you are tired of relationships that drain you or leave you confused, then pay attention right now. This kind of person does not come into your life because of surface things. Not for appearance, not for status, not to fill emptiness inside themselves. They feel drawn to your inner world. They notice the weight you carry even when you try to hide it. They see the effort behind your calm face, the strength behind your silence, the way you keep going when no one fully understands what it costs you. And instead of pulling away from that, they move closer. Not out of pity, but out of respect and real emotional depth. Keep watching, because this part gets even more important. When they think about you, it is not a fantasy built on perfect moments. It is something more real. They think about ordinary days, the mornings when you feel low before anything even begins, the nights when your thoughts become heavy and memories return without warning, the days when everything feels like too much, even if you still show up and do what is needed. And in those thoughts, they do not imagine standing beside you only when life is easy. They imagine staying when things are difficult too. They want to be the place where your guard can slowly come down, not because you are weak, but because you finally feel safe enough to rest. Stay with this, because this is where many people feel something shift inside them. This is not about someone trying to fix you or save you. That is not the point at all. They do not see you as broken. They see your endurance. They see how you keep your heart open even after disappointment. They see the quiet effort you make every day just to hold yourself together and still show kindness to others. And that truth affects them deeply. They do not want to own you or impress you or turn your life into something artificial. They want something simple but rare: honesty, patience, and presence. A steady kind of love that does not disappear when life becomes complicated. A love that says through actions, not just words, "I am here and I am not going anywhere." Watch closely, because this is the kind of thing people often wish for, but rarely recognize when it appears quietly. And there is something even more important here. This kind of connection does not fear your strength. It does not try to shrink you or make you smaller. In fact, your strength is part of what draws it closer. The fact that you survived what you survived, the fact that you still care, still feel, still try again, even after being let down. That is what creates a deep sense of respect. They are not just looking at your smile or your good moments. They notice the pauses, the silence, the times you pretend you are fine when you are not. And instead of stepping away, they feel a pull to stay, to understand, to support in a real and consistent way. Not in words that fade, but in actions that stay. And if something in you is reacting to this right now, do not ignore it, because sometimes what we recognize deeply is not new. It is just finally being put into words. That is why this kind of love is not about competition or control. It is about support, about two people standing side by side, not one trying to rise above the other. They want to stand next to your strength, not above it or against it. And if you have ever been in a love that made you feel small, you already know how powerful this difference really is. This person pays attention in a deeper way than most people do. Many only see actions on the surface. They react to what is visible, what is obvious, what is spoken out loud. But this person reads what is not said. They notice emotions behind the voice. They feel shifts in energy. They hear the meaning hidden under your words. A small pause in your sentence does not go unnoticed. A slight change in tone tells them more than explanations ever could. Even when you say, "I'm fine," they can sense when something inside you is not fine at all. And instead of forcing answers, they stay calm. They stay near. Their presence becomes the first response. That alone makes this connection feel different, almost safe in a quiet way. This is what makes it healing. It does not respond only to behavior, it responds to the whole person. When love is only based on what you do, it becomes unstable. It rises when you are easy to understand and disappears when you are struggling. But when love responds to what you feel, it becomes steady, it becomes safe. It says, you matter here, not because everything is perfect, but because you are real. And if that idea is touching something inside you, stay with this moment, because many people start to realize here why past love never felt secure. This person has also seen pain in life. They understand that people who carry emotional weight do not always need solutions. Sometimes they need quiet space. Sometimes they just need someone to sit beside them without fixing anything. No pressure, no rush, just presence. That is what they want to offer you. A relationship where both joy and pain can exist without breaking the bond. Where difficult days do not end love, they deepen understanding. Keep watching, because this is where it starts to feel more real. Picture a life that is not built on chaos, but on calm moments. Simple mornings, shared silence, small check-ins after long days. A hand resting gently on your shoulder when your thoughts become too heavy. Even silence starts to feel safe, not uncertain. Home does not feel like a place of tension anymore, but a place where your mind can finally slow down. They do not only want to experience big moments with you, they want the everyday life, the routine life, the real life. Because real love is not measured in highlights, it is measured in consistency, in how someone shows up on ordinary days, in how they stay when nothing exciting is happening. And that is what they imagine with you. A steady connection. Loyal, grounded, still passionate, but calm at its center. And if you are still here, maybe a part of you already understands that stability is not boring at all. Stability is what healing actually feels like when fear finally lowers its voice. They can sense that much of your pain did not come from one moment. It came from many small moments of misunderstanding, of giving more than you received, of staying when others became uncertain, of hoping for clarity but finding confusion instead. That kind of experience teaches a person to stay alert, to expect disappointment before it even arrives, to protect the heart even in good moments. And they see that in you. They understand why trust feels heavy, why you hesitate even when you want to believe, why part of you waits for things to fall apart. But instead of judging those defenses, they approach them gently. They are not asking you to become less careful. They are asking to prove through actions that care can be steady, that love can be consistent, that you do not always have to prepare for loss while still inside something good. Stay with this thought, because this is where something deeper begins to shift. This love also asks something from you, but not in a harsh way. Not with pressure, not with urgency. It asks you, slowly, to let it in. Not the strong version of you that holds everything together. Not the version that hides pain behind strength. But the real version. The one that still worries. The one that still remembers. The one that still expects love to disappear. And that part is not easy to open. Because hurt teaches protection. It teaches distance. It teaches half love as survival. But this connection is not preparing to leave, it is preparing to stay. And that changes everything. It changes how silence feels. It changes how presence feels. It changes how your body reacts when someone is consistent with you. And if something inside you is reacting right now, do not ignore it. Because sometimes what feels unfamiliar is not wrong, it is just new. But strange does not automatically mean something is wrong. Sometimes what feels strange is simply what is new, unfamiliar, not yet understood. And new things are often the beginning of real healing. Deep healing rarely happens in isolation. It grows inside safe connection, inside relationships where you are not judged for your emotions, not controlled for your needs, not managed for your feelings, but simply understood as you are. That is what this kind of person wants to offer. Not perfection, not a perfect life with no problems, but real presence, honest care, a steady heart that stays close even when life becomes heavy. They want to know all of you, not just the easy parts. Your past, your fears, your hidden victories, the way you act when you are tired, the silence you fall into when everything feels too much, the softness you only show when you finally feel safe. And instead of stepping back from any of it, they move closer. Pay attention here, because this is where love starts to feel different. Their love is quiet, but it is not fragile. It is strong in a grounded way, like deep roots that do not need attention to survive storms. It does not rely on big words or dramatic gestures. It grows slowly and stays steady. It shows itself in small but meaningful actions that build trust over time. Checking on you without being asked. Remembering what drains you and what helps you feel calm. Protecting your peace even when you are too tired to speak up for yourself. Helping in ways that do not feel like a burden or debt. Making daily life lighter without turning it into something complicated. These things may look small from the outside, but for someone who has carried too much for too long, they are everything. And that is why this kind of love can feel so powerful. Not because it is loud, but because it is reliable. Dependable care is rare, and rare things change how a heart breathes. They are drawn to your strength, but not in a way that challenges it or competes with it. They are drawn to it because it tells the story of everything you have survived. They see what you have carried silently, the sacrifices you made without recognition, the pain you swallowed just to keep moving, the days when you held yourself together with nothing but determination and quiet endurance. And instead of adding more weight to your life, they want to lighten it. They want your presence with them to feel like rest, not responsibility. They want tiredness to be something you can express, not hide. They want care to be shared, not one-sided. And over time, they want your nervous system to stop expecting stress every time love gets close. Stay with this, because this is where safety starts to feel real. This is not performative love. It is not built on appearances or temporary excitement. It is lived love, expressed through daily behavior, through consistency, through showing up again and again in ordinary moments. They imagine a life where love is not measured by big events but by small, steady ones. Morning routines that feel calm instead of rushed. Quiet presence after long, exhausting days. A hand that rests on your shoulder without needing to fix everything. A silence that feels comfortable instead of uncertain. They do not want only the exciting parts of life with you. They want the normal ones too, because real connection is proven in ordinary days, not just special ones. And if you are still listening, you may already feel why this matters more than anything loud or dramatic. They also understand that your past may have taught you to stay guarded, to expect disappointment even in good moments, to hold part of yourself back just in case things change. That kind of protection does not come from nowhere. It comes from being misunderstood, from giving too much and receiving too little, from trusting and then having to rebuild yourself again. And they do not judge that part of you. They respect it, but they also want to show you something different over time. That love does not always disappear. That consistency can be real. That care can stay even when things are not perfect. And if something in you is reacting right now, do not ignore it, because sometimes the heart recognizes safety before the mind knows how to explain it. But strange does not automatically mean something is wrong. Sometimes what feels strange is simply something new, unfamiliar, not yet experienced in your emotional system. And new does not mean unsafe. In fact, many times, new is exactly where healing begins. Real healing rarely happens in isolation, away from connection. It happens inside safe bonds, where you are seen without judgment, where you are not controlled, corrected, or emotionally managed, but simply understood as you are in your full human depth. That is what this kind of presence wants to offer. Not a perfect life, not a fantasy where nothing ever hurts, but something much more real. A steady connection, a calm energy, a person who does not disappear when things get complicated. They want to know all of you, not just the parts you show to survive in public. Your past that still echoes in your mind. Your fears that you rarely say out loud. Your quiet wins that no one clapped for. Your habits when you are exhausted. Your silence when everything feels too heavy. And even your softness that only appears when you finally stop pretending. And instead of pulling away from any of that, they lean in, they stay, they listen in ways that do not demand explanation. If you are still here, pay attention, because this is where your idea of love starts shifting slowly, quietly, deeply. Their love does not rely on loud words or dramatic promises. It is not built to impress anyone. It is built to stay. It is grounded, like something that has roots deep under the surface where storms cannot easily pull it away. It grows slowly, but it holds firmly. It shows up in small details that end up meaning everything when your heart has been carrying too much for too long. A message checking on you without needing a reason. A memory of what drains your energy. A quiet awareness when your mood changes slightly. A presence that notices when you say, "I'm fine," but your energy says something else. And instead of forcing you to explain yourself, they simply stay near you with calm patience. They help without turning it into something you owe them. They support without making you feel weak for needing support. They protect your peace even when you are too tired to ask for it yourself. These are not small things to someone who has lived in emotional exhaustion. These are the things that slowly rebuild trust in life again. And if you are really listening, you can feel how different this is from what you have known before. They are drawn to your strength, but not to challenge it or compete with it. They are drawn to it because it tells the story of everything you survived without breaking completely. They see the days you held yourself together when no one knew you were falling apart inside. They see the sacrifices you made quietly, without applause. They see how often you kept going when you had no emotional energy left. And instead of adding pressure to your life, they want to reduce it. They want your presence with them to feel like rest, not responsibility, like breathing out after holding everything in for too long. They want you to feel safe enough to be tired without hiding it, safe enough to be honest without fear of losing someone. And over time, they want your nervous system to stop expecting loss every time something feels good. Because that is what repeated emotional disappointment creates inside a person. Always waiting, always preparing, always half protecting the heart even in good moments. But this kind of love does not ask you to stay guarded. It slowly shows you that you do not have to. And if you imagine the future with them, it is not built on fantasy or constant excitement. It is built on simple, steady life, real mornings, quiet evenings, small routines that feel grounding instead of draining. Sitting together after a long day without needing to perform anything, feeling understood without having to explain everything. Even silence starts to feel comfortable, not uncertain. Home starts to feel like a place where your mind finally lowers its defenses. They do not only want the big moments with you, they want the ordinary ones too. Because real love is proven in ordinary days, not just special ones. And maybe if you are still here, you are starting to understand something important. That stability is not boring. Stability is what safety actually feels like when your heart finally stops bracing for impact. Stay with this feeling, because sometimes what heals you does not arrive loudly. It arrives quietly and stays. But strange does not automatically mean wrong. Sometimes what feels strange is simply what is new, unfamiliar, and not yet understood by your emotional world. And new does not mean unsafe. In many cases, new is exactly where healing begins. Real healing does not usually happen in isolation. It happens inside safe connection, inside a bond where you are not judged for your feelings, not controlled for your emotions, and not managed like something to be fixed, but simply understood as a whole human being. That is what this kind of presence is trying to offer. Not perfection, not a life without problems, but something far more real. A steady connection, a calm energy, a person who does not disappear when life becomes heavy or confusing. They want to know all of you, not just the parts you show when you are strong. Your past that still echoes quietly, your fears you rarely speak out loud, your small victories no one noticed, the way you act when exhaustion takes over, the silence you fall into when everything feels like too much. Even the soft version of you that only appears when you finally stop pretending. And instead of turning away from any of it, they stay closer. They listen in a way that does not demand explanation. If you are still here, pay attention, because this is where your understanding of love begins to shift in a deeper direction. Their love is not built on noise or attention. It does not need dramatic moments to prove itself. It is built to remain. It is grounded, like something with roots so deep that surface storms cannot easily move it. It grows slowly, but it holds strongly. It shows itself in small, consistent actions that slowly rebuild a tired heart. A message just to check on you without needing a reason, a quiet memory of what drains your energy, a gentle awareness when your mood changes slightly, a presence that notices when you say, "I'm okay," but your energy says something different. And instead of pushing you to explain everything, they simply stay near you with patience. They support without turning it into pressure. They care without making it feel like a debt. They protect your peace even when you are too tired to protect it yourself. These are not small gestures for someone who has lived through emotional exhaustion. These are the things that slowly rebuild trust in life again, piece by piece. And if you are truly listening, you can feel how different this is from what you have known before. Keep going, because this part goes even deeper. They are drawn to your strength, but not in a way that challenges or competes with it. They are drawn to it because it carries the story of everything you survived without breaking. They see the days you held yourself together when no one knew you were falling apart inside. They see the sacrifices you made quietly, without recognition. They see how often you kept moving forward when you had nothing left emotionally. And instead of adding weight to your life, they want to reduce it. They want your presence with them to feel like rest, not responsibility, like finally exhaling after holding everything in for too long. They want you to feel safe enough to admit you are tired without hiding it, safe enough to be honest without fear of being misunderstood. And slowly, over time, they want your body and mind to stop preparing for loss every time something feels good. Because that habit of waiting for disappointment comes from experience, not imagination. But this kind of love does not rush you to drop your guard. It proves again and again that you do not always have to keep it up. And when you imagine life with them, it is not built on fantasy or constant excitement. It is built on ordinary reality, real mornings, quiet nights, simple routines that feel grounding instead of draining, sitting together after long days without needing to perform or explain everything, feeling understood without having to translate your emotions into words all the time. Even silence becomes comfortable, not uncertain. Home starts to feel like a place where your nervous system can finally relax instead of staying alert. They do not only want the exciting parts of life with you, they want the ordinary ones too. Because real love is not proven in highlights. It is proven in consistency, in how someone shows up when nothing special is happening. And maybe, if you are still here, you are beginning to understand something important. Stability is not boring. Stability is what safety actually feels like when your heart is no longer preparing for pain every second. Stay with this thought, because sometimes the deepest healing does not arrive with noise. It arrives quietly and it stays.